the privilege to care for those that are dying. I have learned and developed many skills in that time, which come the 17th of December will no longer be utilised here in Queensland. It's just not me that are being stood down, but thousands like me, from hospital cleaners, porters, allied health workers, paramedics to doctors. Who is going to take care of our loved ones? Our families with disabilities, our most vulnerable living in the community who depend on nurses and support workers. So if the vulnerable are going to suffer, aren't they the people that we've been told we must protect? I don't know about you, but I don't think that's okay. This is all because my colleagues and co-workers and I are not willing to take an experimental injection of which we don't know the long-term effects or side effects. And we know without doubt that many people worldwide have died from this injection. Tens of thousands of adverse reactions, including many young people who've developed life-threatening conditions such as myocarditis and pericarditis. And now they're trying to normalise heart attack and stroke in children. And that's not okay. No. We are not anti-vaxxers, as the media loves to label us, as most of us have had every other vaccine required of us to do our jobs, but we are very hesitant to take this one due to the lack of long-term research and multiple adverse reactions we're seeing and hearing about every day. I personally know of many people who've suffered adverse reactions post-jab, but do not know of anyone who has passed from COVID. A close friend developed a very rare, not so rare, autoimmune disease and is now on a high dose of steroids, which is debilitating for her. Her life is ruined. An ex-nursing colleague from New Zealand had a brain aneurysm the day after her second Pfizer. She was taken to hospital in Auckland and was basically left to die. Until 3 days later, her surgeon thought he'd better operate as she was still alive. She suffered a stroke on the operating table and is now learning to speak and write again. It's doubtful she'll ever work as a district nurse again. She's a single mum and grandmother. Who's going to take care of her as she's taken care of so many in her nursing career?
Yes.
Last week I had a GP appointment and a nurse was in the room with him taking notes. I could hear her crying and I turned around to ask her if she was okay. She was very distressed and said she'd had her first jab the day before and was feeling ill. But she said to me the worst thing was the feeling of her body being violated. And I've heard that time and time again from anyone who's been coerced into having this jab to keep a job. They have felt totally violated and angry that they've been forced into a corner and made to take this. Medical rape, yes. Another friend said he felt dirty for taking the jab as it went against his every being in his body. This is not okay. I really don't understand how the governments can afford to let go of so many great healthcare workers, especially in the middle of a pandemic. This cannot be about health, can it? Yes, they don't have to take it. They don't have to. Yeah. It's no different to standing down the army before going to war.
Yeah.
I can remember my mum saying to me as a child growing up, back home in Northern Ireland, "Wendy, why can't you just do as you're told? You're like a rebel without a cause," as I was always asking him questions and asking why. And now today, I'm rebelling this mandate as something's just not right. I smell a rat. In fact, I can smell many rats, as I'm sure many of you do too. And what about the psychological effects that this is having on our children and the division we're seeing? A friend told me the other day her wee girl was very upset as her friend's mother had said she wasn't welcome at her house as her family hadn't been vaccinated. That's not okay. Discrimination. My 21-year-old daughter was in bits last week as her friends are going to a party that only vaccinated can attend and she can't. And that's not okay. I can tell you from experience, our children will remain programmed through life if this divisive behaviour continues. And one of the most worrying issues is the brainwashing and programming that we're being subjected to day in, day out. Media. Because of my upbringing in Northern Ireland, I can see right through this propaganda and brainwashing. I was brought up in Belfast, Northern Ireland, where we had the Troubles, as they were called. We lived on the brink of civil war for 25 plus years. And we were told it was about religion, which was Catholic against Protestant. In hindsight, it was all about control. Divide and conquer. From I was 4 years old, I remember the television being on all day, every day, warning us of the dangers outside our homes. We lived in a constant state of vigilance as we were warned about bombs, shootings and drip-fed propaganda about the enemy. Back then, I was born into a Protestant household and our enemy was the Catholic and vice versa. We were told that they were dirty, Catholics were dirty. They had forked tongues. Yes, seriously, forked tongues. And their eyes were close together, and that's how we'd recognise them. We went to different schools, we lived in different streets, and we socialised in different circles, and we lived in fear of each other. Today, the government and media are telling us it's the unvaccinated are the enemy. To my shame, the first thing I think when I meet someone from back home, from my home country, is, I wonder if they're Catholic or Protestant. And that is not my thinking, as I don't care what or who you are. I have been programmed and it never goes away. My final message is that we must all stand together with love, no matter jab status, colour or religion, as we are one, united, not divided, and that's when we regain our power against this tyranny we are being subjected to.